Welcome to Mountain Cooking with Missy. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a hummingbird cake. And this is a 3-layer hummingbird cake. It's got bananas in it, some crushed pineapple, some pecans. It is so good. And I'm making this for my pastors for Pastor Appreciation Day. So you all get to see how I make it. So get you a pen and paper ready and jot it down as I go. And hope you make this yourself. Hey mountain friends, how's everybody doing? I'm going to show y'all how I make a hummingbird cake. I'm making this for Pastor's Appreciation. It's one of my pastor's favorite cakes, and I'm just going to get right into it and show y'all how to do it. This is a really delicious moist cake with it's going to be a 3-layer cake, and with some cream cheese frosting, which is the best ever was, y'all. So I already got my oven preheated to 350, and I've got 3 9-inch pans already oiled and floured, and I'm gonna set them aside. So I'm just gonna show y'all right from the beginning what to put in this. I will be sharing this recipe too. All my recipes are in the photo section. Go to the top of my page of Mountain Cooking with Missy. If you go to the very top of the page, you'll see some headings there. Click on photos, and there's an album titled recipes. That's where you'll see me post it. It'll be a picture of the recipe, and I will post the recipe later on after I upload this video. But you can always stop and pause, because I'm going to be showing you all what goes in this, okay? So you want 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I like Hudson cream flour. To me, it's the lightest flour, especially for cakes. So you got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You got 2 cups of sugar. And I'm going to go ahead and put all this together. So I got my flour in here, 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to use 2 cups of sugar. My sugar is a little darker because I use organic sugar. And I have also in here with the dry ingredients, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I use a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. So this is your dry ingredients. And I just stir that together. Now also for this recipe, you're going to need mashed bananas. This is about 4 medium, really ripe bananas, or about equivalent to about 2 cups. You're going to need a cup of crushed pineapple in the juice. Don't drain it. You're going to need 3 eggs, slightly beaten, room temperature. You're going to need 1½ teaspoons of vanilla, 1½ cups of canola oil. And for the batter, you're going to need a cup of toasted pecans. I will show you all how I toast my pecans. I toast them in a skillet, and these are chopped, and I sprinkled a little flour in them, because when you fold this in, if you got a little flour on your pecans, it helps keep them from sinking to the bottom. So all right, so now we're going to go to my mixer. No. So this is how I toast pecans. Some people put them in the oven. I prefer to put them in my skillet and just on like a medium-high heat. You have to be careful. You don't want to burn them, because once you burn them, it just destroys the taste. But toasting just means you're heating them up until you bring the oils out, and you will smell them. And it doesn't take long once the skillet heats up. Just keep stirring them around, and you'll know they're toasted when you can really smell them. And just keep stirring them around. You'll see them get a little brown, but you just want them toasted enough to where you can start to smell them. And when you do that, you'll know they're done. It just takes a few minutes, but just don't burn them and don't scorch them. Okay, so over here on my stand mixer, I've got my bowl here. This is the flour and the sugar and the cinnamon salt and the baking soda. This is the dry ingredients already in here, and I'm going to use my paddle attachment. So I'm just going to turn that on low. I'm going to add in my eggs. Now this is my 3 eggs slightly beaten, and I put my vanilla in there with the eggs. And here goes my oil. Now, oil makes cakes really moist. So most of the time, most cakes call for canola oil, and that's usually what I use. Some will call for melted butter, but these cakes here are better with oil. So now we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. So now I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. This is the crushed pineapple. And this is the bananas. So I'm going to go ahead and just add them in. Then I want to turn it back on. Let that mix. And you only want it to mix just until it's all together. And then in goes my pecans. I want to scrape the bottom. So I scraped the bottom, and all I did was just barely mix it. You don't over mix. Basically all you do when you add the last few ingredients, you just want it just stirred in just enough to where it's all in there, and you never over mix it because it'll be tough. So now I'm going to pour it into the pans, and it's ready to bake. So I divided the batter up equally in the 3 pans, and you always want to give it a tap. Make sure the cakes are settled down in there. So these are going into the oven. They go in for about 25 to 30 minutes until they're done. Just check on them until a toothpick comes out clean. Also, I want to just make sure you know, it can be tempting to skip toasting the pecans for the recipe, but it really does make the difference. So make sure you don't skip it and you do use toasted pecans. So now I'm going to get started on the cream cheese frosting for this hummingbird cake. I love cream cheese frosting, y'all. It's so good. And it's really important when you're making any kind of frosting, make sure you use real butter. This is 2 sticks of unsalted butter and 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese that's been softened. Anything that's softened, you can put your finger in it like that. It's best to just let them sit out room temperature, and that way they're softened. And I just put all of this in my mixer together because you're going to fluff this up. You're going to need 2 pounds of powdered sugar, and you're going to need some pure vanilla extract. So as you can see, when this is room temperature, it comes together much better. You just want to fluff this up. What I do, I let this fluff up with my mixer. I have the paddle attachment for about 2 minutes. Now I'm scraping the bowl. And if you have a stand mixer or any hand mixer, it don't matter. You just want to make sure you scrape the bowl, and see, it's fluffy, and that's what you want. Now I'm going to add in my vanilla extract. It's 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Now I just go ahead and put my sugar in. I'm going to do about a half a bag to start out, and then I'll add some more. This is a 2-pound bag. And I always say, when it comes to frosting a cake, you want to make sure you got a good amount of frosting. I can't stand a cake that don't have enough frosting on it. So want to do that on low. So I got the first part of the sugar in there. I'm going to let that beat for a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to add the rest of the sugar. So I just added the rest of the sugar. We'll let the rest of it come together. And the cream cheese and the butter should be enough liquid because you fluffed it up. Shouldn't have to add much, no liquid to this, like any additional like milk or anything. And what I do, I just let it, and I did scraped it, the bottom of the bowl, the mixing bowl, before I added the rest of the sugar too. We'll always want to make sure we do that. So I just bring it together. Now I'm going to let that beat for about 2 minutes. Look at that, how velvety and smooth that is, and that's what you want because you want a good spreading consistency. See if you can do that, make some swirls in it. I'm going to taste it. Look at that. I love cream cheese frosting. That's really good. This is a staple cream cheese frosting. This is good on a red velvet, a carrot cake, whatever recipe you may have. It calls for a cream cheese frosting. That right there is the bomb, y'all. All right, y'all, so the Hummingbird Cake is ready to put together, and got my little sous chef behind me, and she's waving at everybody. And I got the layers all cooled, so I got my first layer down here on my turntable, and I'm using one of them Wilton turntables. I've had this thing for years. I think you can get them like at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. I think Walmart might even carry them, but it's a turntable. That way when you frost the cake, it makes it a little easier. So I got the first layer down, and I got my frosting all ready. Look at there, y'all, what a bowl of frosting. So also, let me tell you, you need to reserve some of your pecans for garnish. I will be putting some more pecans on the top of this cake for a garnish as well. So make sure you keep some of, so it's about a cup in the recipe and about a cup left over for garnish. So you need about 2 cups of chopped pecans all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my frosting on, and I'm going to use, I like a good amount. These are fairly thin layers. These are 9-inch layers, but they're fairly thin. But you don't want to be skimping on your frosting either, because it's just what makes it so good. So I like this turntable because I can do this right here. And this is, even though these are thin layers, this is a dense cake. And I'm not going to do the frosting all the way out to the edges, because when you start putting your layers on, it's going to squish out some. And let me do just a tad more. You can do ever how much you want in between. I never measure what I put in between the cake layers. I just eyeball it, because I've made so many cakes. I just do whatever. But that looks about enough right there. We'll put the other layer on. So I got my other layer ready here. As you see, they're fairly thin and they're pretty flat. This cake usually bakes up pretty flat. So I'll just go all the way to the edge and lay it back. If you want to chill these layers, you can. Some people chill the cakes, the cake layers actually, before they start putting the frosting on. So I'm just gonna do the same thing, put some frosting on and put the third layer on. And when I come back, we'll frost the outside. So the top layer is ready. What I do with the top layer is I always put the bottom side up because I want my cake flat. That way you got a flat that way your top is flat as it can be. You can always look it over, make sure it's not lopsided any bit. What I'm going to do, actually what I want to do is I'm going to chill this a little bit before I put the rest of the frosting out on, because I don't want it to shift at all. I want the frosting inside to be chilled a little bit. That way when I start to frost the outside, it won't shift. So I'm going to chill it just a little bit, about 30 minutes, then I'll do the outside. All right, y'all, so I chilled the cake. What I did before I chilled it, I went ahead and did what I call a crumb coat, okay? Because this, it just helps seal the cake. It's just a very thin layer that I put all over the cake. As you can see, the cake still, you can still see the cake through it. What it does, it seals it where the crumbs get sealed into that thin layer, and then when I put the rest of the frosting on, then the cake will be like wider. It's like an old baker's trick. It's called a crumb coat. And I put that on it, then I chilled it. So that's all I did. So it's ready to put the final top on, the final bit of frosting on. So always start when you're frosting a layer cake like this, start from the bottom down, and you can always scrape the excess off. And I always get all these. This is an offset spatula. I'm going to be using a little one here too. This is my bigger one. I get all of my stuff is usually probably all Wilton stuff. That's all I've ever really used as Wilton tools for like cake decorating and stuff. I think I get most of mine at Hobby Lobby and Michael's. And that's what all my tools are if y'all ask about them. So what you do is when you frost like that, you just want to bring it down. Okay? And then you're going to start pushing down. It's okay if you see some holes, you can go back and fix it. Start pushing down. And go all the way around. The turntable really helps, especially for these round layer cakes. And this kind of frosting is a very kind of a thinner frosting, because it's cream cheese usually is not piped on. It's usually just spread on like I'm doing. And you use those pretty swirls and swoops. I call them swoops. And see, I just go all the way down to the edge. See how easy this is when you do it like that? It's not as hard at all. And by doing it, starting from the top and going down, you eliminate picking up any crumbs too, especially if you got like this kind of cake. You know, it's white, you got the white frosting and the darker like cake, and you don't want your crumbs to show through. You want it to look clean. This is how you do it. And doing a crumb coat always helps too. And see, this is almost done. It's pretty quick. See how easy that is? Now I'm going to switch to my little spatula. I'm going to check it though. I'm going to leave that good amount on there. All right. So I'm going to use my little spatula to start putting some pretty swoops and swirls on. Because this is a hummingbird, and it's just, it looks prettier if you just do the swoops and the swirls. I like the swoops and the swirls. And I'm going to fix any holes. If I see any holes, I'm just going to fill them in. Which is easy to do. Now, you want to keep your edge. Take your cake, if you got one of these cake turntables, you want to keep your edge. So what I do is I do that. That way you keep your edge. And then from there, I'm just going to do some pretty swirls, okay? Because I just want it to look simple, nothing fancy about this cake. You just want those pretty swirls on it. You just do swoop back and forth like that. Now we're going to put some of the garnish on. All right, y'all, so we're going to put the remainders of some pecans on the top. I just want to show y'all, if you take your little spatulas, you don't have to be an expert cake decorator. If you just take your little spatula like this right here, and this kind of frosted, and just do swirls and make little peaks like that right there, like back and forth, different ways all over the cake, it'll be a perfect cake, okay? You don't have to be an expert cake decorator. I've decorated cakes through the years, but I don't do it much anymore. I do have carpal tunnel syndrome, and it's not a cake baker's friend, but I just do little swirls like this right here, and that's basically all I did around this cake, just swirled it. And most southern cakes are like that anyway. There's no fancy schmancy kind of decorating that you have to do. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put sprinkle some nuts around the edges here, and these are chopped pecans, and I'm just going to do a circle all the way around. If you get one astray, don't worry about it. You can just come back and fix it. So I'm going to go all the way around with this, and go all the way around on the edges. If you got whole pecans, you can do that, but I don't have any. All of mine's chopped, so it's okay. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back. I'll show you the finished, how it looks. All right, guys, look at this cake. Look at this hummingbird cake. Our pastors are going to be so happy. Look at this cake. And they're from Georgia, so they know some good cakes, and they requested a hummingbird cake, so I hope they like it. But look at it. It's all prettied up here, and it's not hard. And I had a little extra frosting, so I just put a little dollop in there and just swirled it around. Never can have too much frosting. But that's it, guys. I will be posting the recipe. I hope y'all make this. Perfect for the holidays coming up. There you go, guys. A delicious hummingbird cake. Now, I can't cut into it and show you all, but I will try to show you all a picture of it when they cut into it. That way you can see what it looks like. But, so there you go, guys. Hummingbird cake. So, thank y'all for watching Mountain Cooking with Missy, where it's nothing fancy. Just good eating. Bye, guys.